Today, I am the envy of many of my excited work colleagues at Manchester Theatres because I am here chatting with comedian, actor, writer, director, game show panelist, all-round legend, Andy Hamilton. Now, Andy brings the fab factor to just about everything that he does, whether it is his stand-up tours, he is lending his voice to children's shows such as Peppa Pig or Ben and Holly's Little Kingdom, or if he's on a game show panel such as QI, Have I Got News for You? Or I'm sorry, I haven't got a clue. He has written so many of our favourite things with his writing partner, Guy Jenkin. And we're talking films like What We Did on Our Holidays, starring David Tennant and Billy Connolly, which, by the way, Andy also directed. And then we have got our big shows like Outnumbered, Kate and Koji, The Armstrong and Miller Show, and of course, the BAFTA and EMMY award-winning Drop the Dead Donkey. Now, this show has had a reawakening after 30 years, and it is coming live to stage for the very first time. I am trying to contain my excitement, but it is coming to us at the Lowry from the 13th of February. So I cannot wait to dive into this. So thank you so much for joining us today, Andy. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for. Did you want to be my agent? That was fantastic.
Yes, I do.
That was brilliant. Thank you. No, glad to be here.
So if we kind of dive back to the TV show, first of all, just to get the grounding of and remind us what it's all about. So if we go back, we've got the Globelink news team, and we've got this team of people. So talk us through what happened with the TV show, a little bit of an overview, if you will.
Okay, so Drop the Dead Donkey started in 1990. It depicted life in the offices of Globelink News, which was a TV newsroom run by a very dysfunctional bunch of characters. But they were characters that audiences sort of recognize. The sort of characters you get in most offices. There would be an under-promoted woman and an over-promoted man and a PA who everybody was scared of, and rather some self-obsessed on-screen talent. And it started in 1990 on Channel 4. And what made it a little bit different was that because it was a newsroom, the currency they dealt in was the news. So we would have chunks of dialogue which were about stories that had just broken sometimes that day. And we would give the actors this dialogue very late. So there was a kind of extra excitement about the show. And it went out from 1990. It did very well, established itself very quickly, and we did it for 8 years. We did about 65 shows, and we remained really close friends. After that, we would all go and see each other's shows, and we'd have dinners together, and during lockdown we were doing Zoom quizzes and stuff. And then we just had this idea of, given how weird the world of news has become in recent years and the world of current affairs, we thought, well, what if we parachuted those characters 30 years older into this new world? So that's what the play is about. But it does speak. I mean, normally when something is a revival, it'll be new actors playing those characters. But this is unique because it's the same team, the same characters played by the same actors 30 years on. So it is very unusual, and very funny.
And very special as well, very special. So are you able to tell us, because obviously when we left the TV show, obviously the news station had been disbanded, and you've got the characters kind of everywhere. Damon's in the Amazon being worshipped. We've got Helen running around delivering sandwiches and all these different things. Do we find out how that all comes back together, or is it just a starting point with just access it has?
No, in the first scene where the characters are kind of reassembled, we do find out what they've been up to. And, some of them have been through some big life changes. Some of them are they are still very much, they're the same characters, but they're 30 years older, and they've all got their own kind of life crises that they're dealing with. That's part of the story. And then there's an overarching story, which is there's an additional character who is an algorithm. The algorithm, they're working at a company for a new news station that has an algorithm that is meant to be selecting editorial content. So the algorithm is like the baddie in the piece, sort of Agatha Christie element in it, because they don't know who owns the station. They're working for someone, but they don't know who.
Oh, I like it. I like it. And you've mentioned that obviously we've got the original team back together. A couple of new characters have come in, but what if you were doing this? Was it always going to have to be that way? Were you always going to have to get? Yeah.
No, it would only work that way. And the audience have come out to see that. Yeah, there's 7 of them. I mean, sadly, we lost two of the actors, but there's 7 of them, and as you say, there's 2 visiting characters and the algorithm. It's an offstage character. But no, it was we would only ever have done it if we could get them on stage together.
Yeah, and it's amazing that logistically you've managed to do that. I mean, you're all so busy with, and these are big stars and big actors, and it's amazing that you've managed to do that. But it shows the love that they've all gone, yeah, absolutely, we've got to come and do this.
Yeah, and their commitment to each other, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, if you see the show, you can sense that they are a fantastic ensemble, in the finest traditions of the rep system. They are wonderful actors, but they're also wonderful team players, and they're really good mates. So them scoring together is a bit more enjoyable than just people being thrown together.
So has it been a different approach writing it for the screen to the stage? Have you had to change the format or anything at all?
It doesn't change in the fundamentals. The fundamentals are character, storyline, and making it funny. So that's the same, but obviously how you present it, how you stage it, there are differences. And so we did several drafts of the script, and then in rehearsal you discover things. You discover that there are different ways of executing that joke and stuff like that. So there are differences, but in essence it's always the same. It's the same joke.
And when you're writing with Guy, I'm curious to know the process of how it works. So do you take on characters each and you kind of have those conversations back and forth, or do you talk it through, or like how does it work?
Well, we do sort of talk in their voices, and we kind of, I suppose it's a kind of improvisation, but then we take a lot of notes, and if we land on something funny, we make sure we write it down, and their voices are very clear in our heads now, so we do know how each of them would react in certain situations, so.
Do you have a favourite character? Or is
not
that
really,
like asking you to choose your it's a bit impossible, isn't it?
Favourite child or something. No, we don't have a favourite. No, they're all great to write, because a lot of the characters are kind of obsessive, or they're great characters to write for.
Yeah, and you mentioned about when the TV show was on that you used to drop in news that was happening that week, which is one of the, I mean, there's many things that made it so cutting edge and so brilliant. And that, like you say, it had never been done before. It was so different. Is that something that you're going to be able to continue with the stage show? So as it goes on, will there be new elements of news thrown in there? Or is that not going to work?
No, that's exactly what we've been doing. For the first
brilliant.
2. So we top it up, so there are about, I don't know, a dozen topical jokes in there, and we top them up, at the start of the week, we swap them over for whatever the news stories are, and then we top them up during the week. So they are doing that again.
Well, then that's a brilliant reason to come and watch it more than once, I think, to be honest.
Come every night. It'll be
follow it around. And what I loved about it was the balance of, like you say, you've got this whole team of people working in broadcasting, somewhat dysfunctional family, yet it still almost showed the pros and cons, because you've got a bunch of people who, despite all of their flaws or anything like that, love what they do. You know, they've got that camaraderie together with the characters within the show. They're passionate, they work hard. And then you've got the flip side of the things that you mentioned earlier. But also you've got characters like Damien fabricating, you know, news stories to make sure that it gets the views. And I think that you kind of almost created this idea of fake news before anyone ever used that term.
Yeah, no,
Came up with it.
Damien was a pioneer of fake news. Yeah, with his teddy bear, and I mean, they're in a classic sitcom tradition, which is that the characters are usually failures, you know, in what they do, but there's something heroic about them. The way they keep going, you know, the way they, no matter how often life smacks them in the face with a shovel, they just keep going, you know, and they bounce back. So like Del Boy, or even, you know, Beto and Son, or, you know, they keep trudging forward, which I think audiences identify with.
Yeah, absolutely. And is there kind of any part of the show that you have like a favorite bit, or that you really excited to see what people make of it? Or is it
the show has lots of high points? It has some big set pieces, and I mean, we know it works, you know, because we've been doing it for a couple of weeks. But it's always nice to see the audience react to these big comic climaxes, you know. So that is really nice, just sitting in the audience and hearing people laugh.
And where did this whole idea come from in the first place? Like when you and Guy sat down and came up with this concept, how did it? Because it's turned into something so huge.
We can't remember. I mean, we've been mulling it for a bit, and then we were in a conversation with a theatre producer about he'd approached us about a different show, and we said, "Oh, we don't think that's viable," but we have got a vague idea for a Drop the Dead Donkey stage show. So we pitched that to him, and he said, "Yeah, I'll do that." And next thing we know, here we are.
Well, we're thrilled that this is where we are. Honestly, there's so many people just in my little corner of the world who are chomping at the bit with excitement.
Oh, great.
So excited. So thank you so much for your time today, Andy. We really appreciate it. And you've got to go and watch Drop the Dead Donkey, The Reawakening, at the Lowry. You can catch it there from the 13th of February. You will be bonkers not to go and watch this one. The tickets are just going to fly off the shelf. So come along, and we cannot wait to see it. Thank you so much, Andy. All the best with the tour.
Thank you.
It's absolutely fabulous. I've been laughing all the way through.
Utter comedy genius. A dream come true. I've never heard of it up until today. I come with my mum and I've absolutely loved it.
Oh, hilarious. Really funny.
Very, very good. Really funny. I mean, we used to love watching it every week, and it's just like it was when we used to watch it on the TV.
Absolutely brilliant. I've just really enjoyed the constant flow of jokes.
With Drop the Dead Donkey, it was always satirical, so it was always in the moment of the news, and it's exactly like that now.
It wouldn't have been the same if it had been other people playing those characters. It needs to be them, and they are so true to the original series. It's just fabulous.
Just brought everything back. They were absolutely outstanding.
Oh, no question. Come and see it.
Come see it. You'll love it. You'll absolutely love it.